All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It has been a minute since I've had Jake on our first intro video talking about what we're going to do with my 987 engine build. So welcome back, Jake. Just wanted to give some updates, or actually have Jake give us some updates of some of the things that are happening in the background. So welcome, Jake.
Yes, sir. How are you, man?
Doing well, doing well. Just surviving without my car. Funny thing. I took it out of my trailer yesterday so that somebody could borrow my trailer, and it was the first time that I'd seen it in I don't know, a couple months now, I guess. And I was like, oh man, I forgot how beautiful this car is. I need to get it back up and running. So I'm excited that some progress has started to be made.
Yeah, it's one of those hurry up and wait things. You can't rush success. You can only rush failure, and haste makes waste, as we say. So people either listen to that and learn from it and heed it, or they don't listen to it and they end up wishing they'd listened to it.
Yes. Yeah, so I have been, over here stuck twiddling my thumbs because I can't really do too much yet. It is in the hands of the masters right now, so letting them do their thing. So I guess you are doing the heads right now, and Ellen is still working on the block. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, so just so everybody kind of has an understanding of what it takes to do something like this. There's a lot of dynamics here. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things that kind of have to come together at the same time. Um, this is not a straightforward, standard, easy job that we've decided to do. We decided to take the roughest, bumpiest trail through the woods instead of the paved highway. And there's no yellow brick road, of course. So when you're doing like things like this, you just it is what it is, and you just kind of take the punches as they come. Um, Ultimately, with a project like this, it's worth waiting for. It's worth the extra hassles. It's worth even the added assembly challenges that somebody would really have if they had not done the M9X experience with me the way you are. So yeah, things at LN, the block has to go through a whole separate set of procedures than a normal block, just because of the bore size that we're going to. Which the easy thing would have been just do a standard 3.4 to a 3.8 combination. That's straightforward. But we decided not to do straightforward. Straightforward's kind of boring to me. You do straightforward. Anybody can do straightforward. Anybody can do easy. Anybody can do stock. You kind of, as we say, the difficult gets done right away. The impossible takes a little longer. What you're doing in some cases, especially without my help and without what I've done over the years to develop it, would be considered fairly impossible to take
For sure.
one of these engines, that far. And people will talk about it and say, well, other people can take it to 4.1. Yeah, they can, but they're not doing it the same way. So, with some of the other machining that we're doing, it will make things easier for you. Typically, when somebody tries to install a longer stroke crank or use the rod length that I'm using with this, they have to space the case halves out and do some other things. We're doing machine work that allows you to use my tools to do this without doing any of those other practices that kind of add another dynamic to it, if you will. So the Raby method's a little different. Actually, the Raby method's actually patented. I've got a tool that I patented for doing this. So it's a little bit different than standard procedure. But yeah, things are in work. Things take a while. And then all of a sudden it comes together, and then you end up with a good result. And that's what happens when you make an investment of time and money.
Yes, nice. Speaking of patents, I recently purchased the same 3D printer you have, and I saw on Facebook you were printing some new little tool. Do you have anything you can share with us on that? I know a lot of
Well,
people have been wondering.
it's actually a component for a various range family of engines, if you will. And I did file the patent, but I'm still not going to talk about it. I've got 5 of those printers actually. I've got the bamboo. I guess that's what you've
Oh
got.
wow.
You got a bamboo. But I've also
Uh-huh.
got some bigger printers that I use for other things like intake manifolds, bigger stuff. I've got um, I've actually, I even have one of the resin printers for doing fine detailed stuff. Um, because sometimes things kind of get lost in the filament world, if you know what I mean. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it goes back to um, the old painted logo that used to be, or the the quote on the dash of my 1944 Kubelwagen, and in German it says "Caution when speaking, enemy is listening." So I've actually even taken that and I've put that decal in my engine room, and I've put it anywhere and everywhere that I might be doing something that I have to remind myself, don't show this to the other guy. He doesn't rate that.
Sure. All right. So we have to stay in suspense, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, I mean it's done. I just want to keep it under my hat a little bit longer. Um, we've actually just purchased another test car. I've got one test car here, so Charles at LN and I just purchased another test car, and it's a Boxster because it makes doing this test work with this region of things easier in a Boxster. Um, and we can actually run it with a gearbox out, and we can do different things. And then, one thing I'm looking for now is somebody that's willing to drive 25,000 miles in 3 months. Um, so, if anybody out there wants to get in a car and drive 25,000 miles in 3 months and hit some key areas and gather data, then you might be the person. So, I don't have time to do it. My last trip was 8,800 miles in 10 days, and that was 15 years ago. So, but as it is now, I just want to log 25,000 miles on it and then look at these parts after that. So,
All right, guys, you heard that. So if that is you and you want to drive one of these, leave a comment below. Let us know, and I'll hook you up with Jake and get you on the road for a long way, it sounds like. So I hear you have a new Flat Six Fanatics podcast that you're going to start up. Maybe in one of those episodes, you can finally share this information with us.
yeah, I probably will end up sharing it there. Probably first more than anywhere else. And I like hosting stuff like this. I mean, going all the way back to my 914 days, starting about 2005 or so, I started what we called Fourth Dimension Radio. That was when iTunes had kind of just first came out and stuff, and it was a real pain to post a podcast. You had to go through and code all sorts of things, and you couldn't share stuff. So now I've invested in some software that allows me to go live on 8 platforms at one time. And it's got all kinds of cool features, and I don't have to go and edit anything. I can do it live, or I can do it recorded. I'll have you on one of those, by the way. But yeah,
Yeah, all
it's
right.
going to be fun. And my first one, I'm just waiting on getting a couple of final things done. It's probably going to happen around the end of this month to the first of next month. And Nathan Burrs from Columbia Luxury Cars is going to be Columbia Valley Used Luxury Cars is going to be my first guest. And Nathan is a highly regarded expert in the land of Porsche vehicles, and he does own a dealership, but he is one of those kind of guys that knows when Porsche changed the mirror on a certain car, or when they added whatever e-brake handle to a car. He has
Wow.
studied the entire vehicle the way that I've studied Porsche engines, and he has become very intimate, very passionate with those things. So he is also a player in the marketplace, and he sees people make the same mistakes I do, where they've got a dream car, and that dream car turns into a nightmare because they're afraid to do the things they should do to with their due diligence period. They jump in. This is the car. It's the right color. It has the right
Mm-hmm.
interior. It has the right options. But the engine's blowing up and they don't know it.
Right.
They would never think. They would never think that a car with 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 miles on it that's a Porsche would have an engine failure problem. They get the car, 2 or 3 weeks later, they see they were ripped off by somebody who knew it had bore scoring, and they didn't do their due diligence, or they said, this is the car, I'm going to take my chances on it, and they end up basically creating a problem for themselves. And I've seen people that would buy a car knowing that it could have bore scoring. It would even in some cases fail a bore scoring, a bore scope analysis, and people take pictures and say, this is bore scored. They would be so in love with it, they buy the damn car anyway.
Yeah.
And then they think they can just drive it like that. So we're going to talk about that, because this is the season where guys really start looking for cars to buy. And when the first few warm days come out, March, April time period, May, the car sales go crazy, and the sharks that are out there, there's people out there right now holding these cars that know they have a problem, waiting until spring, till there's 10,000 fish in the sea that are willing to bite that hook and take it broken and just not know it.
Yeah, I think I saw a similar story to that in the Owners Lounge. So you have a Facebook group now that I have access to by being part of this class. People that take your classes have access to this private group, and it's really cool space with a lot of enthusiasts, and it's very active. So I've been very, very impressed with that group. And I guess you just wrapped up a class with some FSI engine owners this weekend.
Yeah, so I have my 2024 engine owners class. It was off the chain good. I had 12 guys come from all over the country to attend this. The longest one drove 2,600 miles to get here. And ironically, somebody in the class said, "Is this free?" Hell no, it's not free. You don't get you don't get 2 days, 2 10-hour days of direct instruction like this for free. We give a lot of stuff for free on the Engine Owners Lounge. Obviously, I do a live 2 or 3 times a week with tidbits and helping guys. We help people all the time. But a class like this is a tremendous thing to take on. That's why nobody else does it. The other guys also know they can't get up in front of a class and teach things because they can't even teach themselves. But at the end of the day, when something like this is going on and somebody's able to drive 2,600 miles to get here and be a part of it, I'm going to give them 1,000%. And for those 2 days, we had great fellowship, camaraderie. I mean, everything was great. The energy was high. Some guys took like a whole notepad full of notes, realistically. And then I don't do a lot of PowerPoint during it, but the first day we do a little bit, and the notes people took there were crazy. It's like a cult in some ways, and I never tried to create that, but I think when you do something that's different, people want to share it with you. And that even goes back to something that Dr. Porsche said. If you do what you think is right rather than what is expected, there will be those who appreciate what you create and want to share it with you. And that's what they've done. They appreciate what we create and they want to share it with us. And it's been a while since I've had a group of owners like this get together. But the dynamic behind an engine owners class is so much different than if I just do a regular enthusiast class where guys come here from all over to learn about the engines and do a hands-on class, or a technician class. The technician class is way different because you have shop owners and technicians, some of which don't even own the cars, obviously, coming to learn this so they can commercially use that to take care of cars. So it's definitely cool. It's a lot to do. It's challenging for me. I do appreciate the challenge, and I have fun with it. After the morning of the first day, things get fun.
Yeah, that sounds awesome, and I can't wait till I'm an actual owner of one of these engines, and maybe I can participate in some of that. So. I guess instead of us continuing to talk about it, I'm going to let you go work on my engine and get that thing knocked out so that we can have that. So
Yeah,
thanks for joining me again, Jake. Anything else we want to talk about before we wrap up here?
I guess we can just end it with kind of, things are in work, but generally the way things come together, the block work and the head work are done simultaneously. The pistons are a custom order. They're still probably about 3 to 4 weeks from being completed. So once we do the basic machine work, once we make the connecting rods, at that point we know what we're going to look for with a stroke and the rod length, and then we decide the piston height. Then we work on what piston rings are going to be used. This engine, the last time I did a 4.1 like this was for a little bit of a different application with a Cayman. So I did make a few tweaks to it because of things we've learned, obviously, and some products and things that are out there that weren't the last time that I did this a few months ago. So the pistons will come in. Once that's done, we will get the dynamic assembly together, dynamically balance all that in-house. The heads are finished, and then I do a mock-up of everything. So I'm going to mock this whole thing up and get some clearances, fill out my engine build log, and that is when you'll be able to take over things and be able to do so with confidence.
Cool. Yes, I'm very excited to be able to get my hands on and do some more learning and some more assembling. So thank you very much for all of your time and work into this so far. And hopefully we won't be as long of a gap before our next conversation. Maybe we can actually get some pictures or something of some of the stuff that's going on to show people at home what's happening. So thanks so much, Jake.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Yep, man.